Hi, it's Kim with Ice Resin, and I'm here today to share a project with you that I created using the Ice Resin product. I'm going to be using one of Kristen Robinson's Rue Romantique bezels, which I have here. I'm going to be doing my own recipe, mixing two ice enamels, both ivory and turquoise, to paint onto the bezel. I'm going to mix in some shattered mica and some relic glitz in silver to further enhance the romance of the focal piece. So here we go, and with step one, my first step is going to be to seal my Paris 1739 snippet of paper using paper sealer. It's an Art Mechanic product, so I'm going to do that. I'm just going to do this with a paintbrush. And this is a little disposable paintbrush. I'm going to go through this process about 2 to 3 times, painting both the front and the back. While my paper's drying, I'm going to go ahead and use my wire cutters to just nip off the edges of this little loop because we're going to not be using it. Now I've got a file that I'm just going to kind of take the edges down with. All right, now I'm going to kind of shape my bezel, try to change the shape of it slightly without making any changes in where the resin is going to be placed. So you can see I've kind of bent my little ends in a little bit and kind of worked this area to just kind of give it a slight curve. Okay, I'm doing that with a tool that is made for shaping bangles and bracelets, and I find it pretty effective for this particular purpose. And you just go along the edge where we're trying to make a slight curve, and it's very gently taking those more protruding areas and give them kind of a curved shape. Moving on, this is what my plans are for the outside of my bezel frame. I'm going to do a robin's egg blue color. So to achieve that, I'm going to mix 2 different of the jars of enamel together to create a robin's egg blue color. So I'm going to put some blue in, and I'm just kind of eyeballing how much blue I put in. And then I'm going to kind of scrape the edges so I don't contaminate my cream or my ivory color. And then I'm going to pick up about the same amount in my ivory. I think I shorted myself on that one. All right. And then I'm going to close these. I've got my stir stick, and I'm just going to mix those 2 shades together until I've got what I really like. And what's so convenient about this is if this isn't enough, you remember your combination, you just go back in and add more to it. All right, we have our colors mixed, and our first step in applying the color to the frame of the bezel is going to be to put the iced enamels medium around the area where you're going to be using the ice enamel powder. So I'm going to apply that with just a little disposable brush to the areas that I want to put my enamel on. Here we go. So I'm going to take my product and I'm just going to sprinkle it. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of shake off that leftover stuff. Use something to kind of stabilize my metal while I'm heating up the powder. You don't want it to kind of blow away on you. It's starting to have the transformation. You're going to see that color start to bubbles. And that's when you know you've achieved your goal. You've got a beautiful finish happening here. Do be careful whenever you decide to pick up your metal because it did retain heat for quite a while. All right, what I've decided to do, because I really want this to have that really worn out, old world look, I decided I would go around the edges where I've used the enamel and kind of erase a little bit of it to let some of the filigree work that is in this bezel come out and be seen. So you've got a couple of choices here. I worked it with one of these little sanding pads, and I really like the way that looks, and you can see how the filigree is popping up. So I'm going to go ahead and go around the edges of this piece. Throughout this entire process, I've been periodically putting coats of the paper sealer on my little insert that I'm going to put in the opening of the bezel. So I've just put another coat on the back, and so I'm just going to kind of use it as glue to adhere to the back of the bezel. I'm pressing it down. And I filled a little throwaway Tupperware container with some rice. And what that's going to do for us is that's going to hold our piece. So we did put that curve in it, so we do need something that's going to stabilize it while we do the ice wrap. I've decided to break up this color with some rhinestone chain. So I experimented doing the chain 2 different ways. First of all, doing it one continuous piece, and then decided that it was best to go ahead and cut my rhinestone chain into 4 sections. Now we're ready to mix our resin. So what I've done to help myself and help you see a little clearer is I've taken my marker, and I'm going to mix up a teaspoon because this particular project that we're doing is not going to require a lot of ice resin. So we're going to mix up just 1 teaspoonful. So I've used my marker and marked on my cup to help me to do that successfully. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put in our part A. Part A goes in first. Okay, got that? Then we're going to put in the correct amount. I'm going up to my second line with part B. Now, for 2 full minutes, I'm going to stir both the resin and the hardener together for 2 minutes. I highly recommend that you set a timer for this process, and you're going to not whip it necessarily, but definitely stir the 2 products together very thoroughly. I've stirred my products together for a full 2 minutes, and now I'm just going to set it over to the side and let the ice resin cure up a little bit. You know, you have a lot longer than you think with this product. I prefer to work with it when it is the consistency of thick syrup like Karo syrup. For me, I have more control, and so therefore that's about a 10 to 15 minute wait. So that's what we're going to do, and that's going to give it time for those bubbles to disperse. Now that my ice resin has had time to begin the curing process, this is just the right texture that I like to work with the resin in, and you can see there's no bubbles in there. Now I'm going to add some sparkle to my ice resin using some glitz powder, and I'm just using my favorite scoop, and I'm just adding that to my resin, and I'm going to stir it in. And a little bit goes a long way. But what's going to happen is as the resin dries, that's going to become pretty transparent. All right, here we go. We're going to just drizzle our resin into our little opening. And what's so wonderful about this process is that I didn't have to use glue on a little rhinestone chain. The resin's going to do it all for me. Okay, that's about all I'm going to need. I'm going to use a toothpick to kind of spread this out. If the rhinestones kind of move about, just use your toothpick and it'll help get everything lined back up. Let's see, something slid over there just a little bit. And here goes the resin, just helping itself to cover all the little territory that needs to be. Okay. I've got one little corner I got to catch right here. And basically we're just going to wait and let the resin cure now. Well, we're just about finished with this project. I decided to use a rhinestone charm by the Art Mechanic line. I've glued it into the center. I'm going to put another coat of iced resin around to seal up the ice enamel. I'm going to attach this bezel to a leather cuff by punching a hole in the leather, using micro screws and tightening that down in the back, trimming it off, and if needed, adding a little glue to make it comfortable for the customer who will be wearing this pretty little piece.